After weeks of nurturing and caring for your green babies, Linda takes a look at the best part of growing your own, reaping the rewards, when to harvest, how to harvest, and what to do with some of the produce after harvesting.
My favorite thing about organic vegetable gardening is harvesting your crops. Look at these wonderful things that I have here. There is no doubt that this is obviously the reward. After all that hard work, you now have these beautiful things to go and pick out of your garden, fresh to prepare. And probably the most tricky thing about this is to know when you are able to pick the things and when they are ready. The things that are more difficult to tell is the things that are growing underground, your roots, like your beetroot and your carrots. An easy way to see when those are ready is just gently move the sand away from the crown of the vegetable and see how big the crown of the vegetable is. You'll notice that with carrots, they can be about 2 centimeters in diameter. That's probably a good size for when you can harvest them. Let's go see what else is ready to be harvested. One of my favorite things to harvest is beetroot. I mean, look at these. These are the red and white striped beetroot. They are absolutely delicious. I like to slice them really thin and eat them raw so you can clearly see those red rings in the beetroot. The beetroot tends to push itself up while it grows so that the top part can actually be seen without moving the soil away. So you'll judge for yourself when you're ready to pick your beetroot. If you want to pick them when they're still small and have them sweet and delicious, you can do that, or you can wait until they get bigger. Absolutely delicious. What we have here is a Black Beauty eggplant. Now, it's kind of difficult to tell when your vegetables are ready, but when in doubt, go into the store, see what size those vegetables are that you're going to buy, like an eggplant, and you'll judge by what's growing in your garden if it's ready to pick or not. This one I would say is when it's starting to be ready to pick. So it's big enough to pick, but it can grow much bigger than this. Smells delicious. I'd like to show you what too small is. Over here is a rather immature eggplant. Be aware that if you see a small eggplant like this growing on the bush, don't think that when it's small like that you can pick it and it's ripe. The small eggplants that you get that are all purple and delicious are a variety type. They are not like these, which actually grow bigger. This is an heirloom variety, and those generally are hybrids. Right, so we're going to leave this one to grow. Eggplant is a summer crop. So once you've harvested your eggplant, the plant will die back in winter. You'll probably get another crop again the next spring, summer season, but after that, I do advise that you remove the plant and start again from seed. The tromba del benga, or zucchini, can either be harvested when it is 20 centimeters long, or you can leave it to grow. This wonderful variety can grow to over 1 meter. The skin eventually changes color from a light green to a bright orange. Interestingly enough, the flesh also changes color to bright orange. It does kind of taste like a butternut, but not as sweet. So you might think, what is this growing next to me? And probably won't be able to identify it first off. But the amazing plant on my left is in fact 5 years old. It reappears religiously every spring, and it grows quite tall with these beautiful leaves, and it is turmeric. Now, the beautiful thing about turmeric, which is, as you can see, bright orange, and that's what in fact gives your rice color when you cook with it, is that it is probably the best thing to use for inflammation. So eating it fresh is absolutely fine. You normally can only buy it in a powder form, but if you have it growing in your garden, you simply move the soil away from around the plant and cut as big a piece as you want from the root, and take it, and you can either dry it and then put it in a coffee grinder and make it into a powder, or you can simply eat it fresh. It does stain your hands, but it's a small price to pay for this wonderful deliciousness. Climbing beans are ready to pick when the pod is of fair length. If you can actually see the bean making a definitive shape within the pod, you'll know that you've left them too long. At that stage, just pick the bean, remove the pod, and keep them for your seed save for the next year's sowing. Otherwise, take your beans, they should be about 12 centimeters long, depending on the variety, and chop them up finely, eat them raw, fry them up in some garlic and olive oil. The wonderful thing about having a glut of vegetables and herbs is that you can harvest your herbs so that you can dry them and use them throughout the winter season. And of course, there's nothing more convenient than growing this beautiful thyme in a pot. Delicious. There's nothing better than picking a sun-ripened tomato that you've grown yourself. And there are so many varieties to choose from. When to pick your tomatoes depends on what variety you're growing. So if you're growing a red variety, obviously you wait until the tomato is fully red and then you can pick it. Be careful because you do get green varieties as well. What often happens with the green variety is that you'll get a yellow hue, and that often indicates that the tomato is in fact ready. As a treat, we're going to quickly prepare a wonderful organic pesto with our basil that we've just harvested. It's quite a simple recipe. I'm just going to point it out to you. We've got enough basil here to fill 2 cups. We have 2 cloves of garlic, pepper and salt to taste, half a cup of Parmesan cheese, a 1/4 cup of pine nuts, and 2/3 of a cup of virgin olive oil. You just take all of this, put it together in a blender, blend it up, and you can leave it in the fridge for about a week. Unfortunately, if you have the Parmesan cheese, you can't freeze it, but if you want to leave the Parmesan out, you can freeze it and you can keep it in your freezer for about 4 to 6 weeks. Delicious.